So their lives changed totally. Their health got better. My mom got off oxygen. Their eating, my mom put on weight again. They balanced diet.
Hi, I'm Agnes Stowicki, Managing Editor with Comfort Life. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading retirement communities and care providers to uncover insights to community lifestyle, care, culture, and leadership. This includes insights from residents, family members, and administration. This is the Comfort Life Insider Perspective.
We did a lot of looking, my sisters and I, proactively as my parents progressed in their dementia, and so we were ready for the next steps so we found StayWell Manor, and what we loved about it was the apartments are all the same setup, and my parents, we moved them from another Manor Village. So they moved into essentially the same apartment. So if they got up in the middle of the night, they weren't confused about where the bathroom was or those types of things. So and the lobby was all set up the same. They're all set up very similar. So that was a really big thing for us. Also the people and the programming, but in StayWell, they had dementia care, memory care. That they didn't have at where my parents had lived independently. So that was really important for us as they progressed, for them to be able to move into a memory care unit if needed, which my mom ultimately did. And those types of things were very important. The people, I can't say enough about the people. From the first person we met, the leasing agent when we walked in, the kindness, compassion, and also the awareness of what the families are going through is really able to ask those questions and drill down to what we needed and what we were looking for. We found was very intuitive. Not just a set of questions, oh, do you want a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, what are you looking for? It was very intuitive about mom and dad's conditions and those types of things. So that was very good. We really liked that. My mother, in her later stages, started talking a lot about a baby. And we don't know if she had a baby in her former life before she met my dad or what, but she kept asking, where's the baby? Who's taking care of the baby? So we looked up online some things we could do to help with that anxiety. And we found this thing called doll therapy. So we bought my mom a doll and a bunch of clothes, named her Natalie. And Natalie became part of the memory care unit. And the nurses and everybody were so fabulous. And they would put Natalie to bed after mom's nap and take Natalie out to see mom to calm her if they needed her. Natalie became part of mom's care. And so much so that now both my parents just passed away, like recently, they're going to bring in a nursery baby doll program for their memory care, and we're going to sponsor it as a family and buy bassinets and dolls and things that they can actually use for all the residents. They found all the benefit was so good with my mom, and the nurturing, everybody, how old is your baby? And it was really, really very interesting how everybody in the unit, their nurturing came out, and the aides, the care aides, the nurses all just really, really encouraged that. My mom my mom had a major heart attack at 70, and she got really into a cardio program they had at one of the big rec centers. So she worked out her whole life from 70. She passed away at 92. Exercise was a really big part of her life. And she actually worked out with my mother-in-law. They would go together. And now when my mother-in-law moved into StayWell, they were looking forward to exercising together. And she would, it didn't matter if she was wheelchair bound near the end, she was doing the Tai Chi. They had such incredible exercise programs, and you know, they were able to keep that up during COVID when you weren't allowed to do, you know, they had the exercise programs on the TVs, and the recreational therapists would go room to room to room and do, when they're confined to rooms, and do those programs. There was a lot of music therapy. The social lobby time and happy hour, and it just goes on and on. Movie theater. It just goes on and on. My mother-in-law, when I first took her there 4 years ago, when my parents were thinking of moving in, when we were going to move my parents in, she said it's like a cruise ship. And because of all the activities that you can or not participate in, nobody forces you to do anything. It's really at your own pace and your own leisure. But there is a lot of things for all levels. Like even in the memory care, they would bring in musicians on a Saturday afternoon, and you know, somebody be playing guitar, and the residents just loved that. My mom had her piano in her suite.
Oh, really?
And yeah, she's a piano, sang in the choir, church choir, big pianist, loved playing the piano. And she was playing it up to 2 weeks before she passed away. And we had the video of her playing the piano from memory, and we used it in the photo montage at her funeral. So it was lovely. Oh my gosh. We didn't realize when mom and dad, we didn't realize a lot what was going on in their house. Medications were being missed. For my mother, had a lot of complications, and we didn't understand frontal temporal dementia that dad had, and he couldn't make decisions, and it was executive function. It's a very strange kind of dementia, and he wasn't, they were eating the same thing every single day, frozen fish, because that's all he could. But we didn't know. We would show up at the house, have a cup of tea or cup of coffee, have a nice visit, and go home. Or we would take them to our house for dinner. We didn't get into the cupboards, as we said. We didn't get into the cupboards of their life, and so we didn't look in the freezer and see what they were eating, or we found medication when my mom ended up in the hospital very, very ill. We found medication for her COPD that was still in a bag in with the flour, that we didn't realize. We always trusted my dad to be giving my mom medication. He took care of her his whole life. So their lives changed totally. Their health got better. My mom got off oxygen. Their eating, my mom put on weight again. They balanced diet. She got off her blood pressure medications in the last year. So a lot of very, very positive things, because just of the lifestyle. They weren't just sitting on their chairs like Archie Bunker and Edith watching TV. They were moving around. They had to go down to the dining room. So even though they were in a walker, they had to walk down and get that exercise and movement and socialization, and just so critical. Definitely prolonged their lives in a very positive way. Home, it's home. We looked, when my dad passed away in December, we looked at possibly moving my mom. We were concerned about her being alone, and we're looking for something different. And we walked into a beautiful new building up in the north by the university. And my sisters were overwhelmed with it, thought it was absolutely gorgeous. And it was, but it was all modern. Stainless steel and leather cube seating and those types of things. Whereas StayWell has wingback chairs and things that you see at your parents' house, a very comfortable style. Everything is very comfortable. The chairs are comfortable. The way the lobby is set up with the fish tanks and the cafe, everything is comfortable and reminds you as much as you can believe of home. And the people are so consistent. They stay the same. They don't have a huge staff turnover. So everybody's been there since my parents went in, the nurses, the aides, and they really, really care about my parents, like the tears when my parents passed away, the emotions. They were calling me on my cell phone when mom was in the hospital. How's she doing? Like they really care. And so home is the best way I can describe it. It became my parents' home, not just a retirement center. Well, as I said, we weren't aware of a lot of what was going on behind the cupboards at mom and dad. So when mom went in the hospital, my sister came home and lived with my dad, and we discovered his driving. So at StayWell, he didn't need to drive. They have, a driver you can hire and bus to go to co-op and those types of things. So there was that, a lot of those anxieties about what we knew mom was getting the medications. We knew they were eating very well. Those types of things. So a lot, and we became daughters again instead of caregivers. And that's what I have an Alzheimer's support group, and we talk about caregivers versus family members. And even though they're the same person, and that goal is to try and strive to become a family member to your loved one, not a caregiver. And so StayWell allowed us to have, of course, we had to work as a team and work on the medications and the doctors and all those types of things, but it allowed us to have a lot more of those daughter moments with my two sisters and myself. Yeah. I think the biggest one, and this came from my sister because I talked to her yesterday. She's always been my backup. Listen to what the team members say, what the wellness director says about the status of your parents. I think we all like to think our parents are in better shape than we think they are, or that they know they are. So listen to those. They wanted to move mom into memory care 2 months before, but we were worried about what it would be like, and she'd be in a lockdown area. And her life just exploded with joy after she moved in there, because they could cater to her. She wasn't sitting alone in her apartment for the majority of the day. She was in the common area, watching programs, being part of programs, exercising, socializing, those types of things. And it was actually very positive, but we fought it because, mom's not that bad. She doesn't need memory care. It was the best thing for her. And I think you've got to, so just listen, and listen with your heart about what they're trying to tell you. I think, again, look at the people who are living there. We did consider another place, but they weren't, there was these were people that mom and dad would be friends with. When I looked at what the occupations were, what the socioeconomic, what the these were people, and also they were of an activity level that was equal to mom and dad. So it wasn't a bunch of really old, feeble people, but it wasn't a bunch of, 60-year-olds that were, running around doing things. It fit my mom and dad perfectly. And I think is find a place that looks like your mom and dad. The different levels of care: independent, assisted, enhanced, and memory care. And they go right through to palliative. My mom was on palliative for 6 months. So they do offer palliative as well. So that was, we knew that they could stay, stay through their days together. Ultimately, as I said, dad passed away. Mom only passed away 3 weeks ago, but it was just so good for them. And everybody, we had to separate. My mom broke her hip in the fall, and we had to separate them, but we only separated them by apartments. They were still on the same floor with a nurse's station in between. So because my mom refused to let, her dementia, she refused to let people take care of my dad. She had to, but she wasn't capable, and that's how she fell and broke her hip. So again, they were telling us for 6 months before my mom fell and broke her hip, this is a dangerous situation, and that's why I talk about listen to what they're saying. And it was, we could have prevented a lot of things if we actually listened to the staff, but falls happen with seniors. But the apartments and the living rooms, and my parents each had their chairs, and they had their little kitchen to have their toast and tea, and their bedroom, and the piano, and the china cabinet, all those things. It made them feel like they didn't leave their house. Everything that was important was there. I think the funniest thing is when we moved them from Signature Manor into StayWell, I don't think they knew they moved.
Oh, because they're the
And
same layout.
they're the same layout. And so we took them out in the morning, moved the apartment, and I remember my mom going into the dining room and looking around. She goes, "Oh, the placemats are the same. Oh, like everything was the same." And I think that's really good because so that's the floor, the symbols, like she was noticing the similarities everywhere. And it was very, very comforting to them because the people were all new, but they still had the same uniforms on. They knew the nurses from the aides, everything. It was just seamless. And as I said, and then when you moved when they moved into memory care, same thing. The apartment in memory care was exactly the same as hers, even the orientation. And so, her piano was in the same place. Everything in the nurses, even though they were new, everything was the same. And there was no anxiety, nothing. It was really, really seamless. The people, as I talked about earlier, the intuition, the questions they asked, and the people in the programming, which are two intangibles. A building you can duplicate, but the people in the programming, from the management down, the executive director, the wellness director, everybody is so caring. Their doors are always open. You can walk in and you see people in the executive director's office, and it's like, I can't open my apartment. And she'll put her arm around and she'll go, "Oh, come on right down with me. We'll take you down." And just everybody just steps in. It's again, it's home. It's a family. As I said, the staff turnover is non-existent. And so everybody has just been there for so long. It's awesome. It's tough. They had never gotten rid of anything. So picking the items to move into the apartment was really great, and so that was easy. The bedroom set, the living room set, the coffee tables, end tables, lamps, those types of things. Where it came to the difficulty was, all the stuff in the rec room in the basement, all the memories in the boxes, those types of things. And there was a lot of reconfiguring. So we took all their Christmas ornaments and we got a small tree. right? And so like just a little tree. And so, but we took all the Christmas ornaments and put them in different boxes and kind of culled through some of them. And so there was a lot of reconfiguring to the space. They had this gorgeous mahogany coffee table that my dad had refinished that he was very proud of because the dog, the lab, had chewed on the end. But it was too big for the apartment. So I went and got a woodworker and got it cut by a third. And he redid it. So that's what I'm talking about, reconfiguring. So things were all familiar, but so it was a lot of work. No, it was just how easy from day one it was. It just was, there was kind of no surprise, which was the great surprise. There was no surprise. They greeted you at the door. They took you up the apartment. We had everything moved in. We had dad sitting in his chair. It was the last piece of furniture that went on the moving truck, and it was the first piece off. So we took him out for lunch and then took him there because he was way more anxious than mom was about moving. So it was, if he had his chair and his newspaper and his TV, and everything was all set up. They cover your Shaw, they cover all that stuff. So it was same thing when my mother-in-law moved in. There was no surprise, which was the great surprise. She just moved in with her stuff, and by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, she was down eating, having coffee time, and everything was unpacked and all ready to go. Listen to the staff. I know I'm repeating myself, but I think it would be, I think we would have separated my parents earlier. And when I say separated, they spent the daytime together, but it just got dangerous for them to be in the same apartment. And also moved my mom to memory care a month or two earlier, I think would have been quite beneficial and safe for her. She had a very bad fall that probably she never had a fall again after she moved into memory care. And so again, I think just not be afraid of the changes that they're advocating. They know your parents and they have the experience. That's what I would tell myself, is be more open to listening.
For more information about this community, you can visit their profile at comfortlife.ca.